This week we'll be talking about the K-pop drama of Microsoft v Sony thickens. Sony's looking for their next Genshin Impact. Is Team Ninja bringing back two beloved IPs? And in this week we've been playing Immortality, Call of Duty Warzone 2.0/DMZ, and Pokemon Violet. All this and more on Season 6, Episode 46 of Press X to Start podcast. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, DJ, aka Sexy Bad Choices, aka Antoine. You stomp. Antoine's the name of my Black Bull Pokemon.
Black Bull.
Yeah.
Are you
Taurus. Am I
Amber.
trying to catch them all? Am I trying to catch them all? Who else is here?
I am Sean MF Ross.
What the AMF stand for?
I am protesting DJ's Mandingo fighting.
As you should. It is hard. It is just a terrible practice that I'm participating in. Who else?
Jordan, aka JXBot, aka Jordan Gambino. The Gambino
Jordan?
family. Defunct,
Oh.
the last surviving member. I got out when the police tried to come in and raid my moonshine. They didn't catch me. But then I got into a slight car accident, though I was able to carry the moonshine on my back up the street to my home, to which I was able to find refuge for the Thanksgiving season. Jordan Gambino, FBI, you will never catch me, ever.
Wow. Alrighty.
I love it. And then last up,
Oh yeah, it's me, Avery.
nailed it. All right. Now you know who we are. Press XR Podcast is a weekly show where we talk about the latest gaming news, review the biggest games, and give you our thoughts on the games we are playing. Our goal is to expand the video game media landscape through an underserved point of view. On YouTube, get our gaming news breakout on Tuesday, what we've been playing on Thursday, and the whole thing as a podcast on Friday. If you're watching on YouTube, you can support us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell. If you are listening, we'd appreciate you leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or the podcast services you are tuned in on. If you want to join us in our conversations, you can by joining our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord. All right. Now you know who we are, what we do, and what we're doing for you. Now we can jump into gaming news. Still gotta change that. All right, Avery, what's happening in the gaming news side? Take it away.
Okay, so as per use, the Microsoft v Sony v Activision Blizzard v pretty much the world regulatory bodies has been an ongoing thing. I made a point to say, for the most part, we're not going to talk about it on a week-to-week basis because, like, most of these headlines are really dumb and
Yeah.
we're just regurgitating the same talking points. And you're not really getting any new insight from us about how we feel, because I've been very consistent about how I don't think this deal should happen, and yada
Fair.
yada. That being said, it's been an ongoing thing that the UK Regulatory Board (CMA) has been opposing this deal and has been very vocal about it. And both Microsoft and Sony have been very, very much guilty in this matter of talking straight out of their asses in regards to this entire situation. From an outside looking in point, it's been exhausting, but from an inside looking in point, I understand the business reasons why the two of them are operating the way they are operating. It's just one of those things where I really wish this was less of a public square situation and this was a straight behind the boardroom kind of thing. I think this type of transparency, I don't think is absolutely necessary. This is all a roundabout way for me to sort of preface, I guess, which is going to be an onslaught of stories about this situation, as a lot of information came out in a short period of time of the week of Sunday the 27th. So our first story is from Kotaku.com, from Luke Plunkett. Reports Feds likely to fight Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. So I'm going to read a little excerpt of this. Politico is reporting that, according to three people with knowledge of the matter, the Federal Trade Commission (FTC) is likely to file an antitrust lawsuit to block Microsoft's $69 billion takeover of video game giant Activision Blizzard. The FTC, emboldened by their recent success in stopping the merger of book publishers Penguin Random House and Simon & Schuster, have made no official announcement yet, and the Politico report says a lawsuit challenging the deal is not guaranteed. Steps are, however, being made to prepare one with much of the heavy lifting having been already done, like receiving depositions from the bosses of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, and Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick. Because of this, it said that the agency does move ahead of its case. It will come as soon as next month. So this is pretty much saying that we've heard of at least 2 regulatory boards in their statements. We heard from the Brazilian one, which is where we got a lot of the back scenes, like fighting in the streets of Microsoft v Sony in this manner. We heard from the UK regulators. This is now, I guess, the American regulators, who I expected to take a strong stance from the very beginning, now taking a stance now in regards to how they feel about this.
Yeah. I I I guess it's just wait and see what happens, kind of thing. Like, I will say, playing Call of Duty, and I mean, still haven't linked up with Sean to play DMZ mode. I still haven't played Warzone 2, but I mean, mine, besides all the bugs and stuff that happens, that's just a common thing now, unfortunately. Overall, the game seems really, really good, really strong, really polished. Again, minus the Warzone bugs or whatever. I didn't really have any bugs playing the single player, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like, okay, as long as Activision can get um their higher ups people in order and Bobby Kotick out, the game will be fine. They just need to figure out how to manage their use of studios when it comes to making this one game, and maybe not having to pull in 58,000 studios across the universe just to build this one game. But yeah.
No, I think that's just part of Call of Duty's DNA. I don't think you get Call of Duty without the machine they built around it, of the quality that you guys enjoy.
Of course, yeah. Especially with it being so big now. It's like, yeah, you have to have all these support studios in order to make it and have of quality. So yeah, I get that.
You either had those support studios or you just merge those support studios with the main studio, and then it's just a massive bloated studio.
Right.
Okay, so this is like,
Sorry.
no, go Jordan.
No, I mean, at least in terms of like, I think the last time I provided feedback was when there was a huge drop related to the CMA back in September. And back then I was about 70-30, I think, in terms of probability still going through, but now I'm like 55-45. But when you go down into why the FTC would bring up a lawsuit is if they're able to prove that that illegality has occurred, that this is an illegal action, and there's actual laws being broken in terms of antitrust issues. And when it comes to monopolization of a commodity or product, you need to prove that there's no other substitutes associated with it. And they're taking that position from both parties. Like, Sony is going to be of the camp that the deal does not go through, and Sony has clear monetary reasons for that. But at the same time, at least for some of the language that they've used in terms of Microsoft, and for them, the list for in terms of goal setting in this deal in relation to Sony and its business, for them, the deal, they just do not want it to go through. They want Call of Duty to remain an independent thing. They don't care about King, not so much so Blizzard. But at the very least, they want to have some type of consent decree, which can occur by a product of negotiations with FTC, CMA, or the European Commission, of a certain amount of time that Call of Duty has to be released no matter what condition it comes out on, at parity, so on and so forth. Legally binding. Sorry, David.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to get a consent decree, and we'll talk about that later as we go through other stories. Okay, so that was the first level of a bunch of stories that came out. To Jordan's point, the next story is from Kotaku.com. This is Sony dumps on EA from a great height in latest court docs. This is from John Walker. This is just them saying, to Jordan's point about how there's no competition for Call of Duty, yada yada. This is Sony saying that EA has tried with Battlefield for years and has failed on all accounts, and they are the only studio equipped to make a game, publisher to make a game at the level of Call of Duty, and they have failed repeatedly, regardless of the quality of those games. I will say Battlefield 1 is a fucking fantastic game, but everything
Battlefield
else,
3,
I'm
4,
wondering-
and 1. Yeah.
I'm wondering why they left out Apex Legends.
because it's
Apex isn't.
That's not an arena shooter.
it's
Not
not a
everybody
direct
has
it's not a direct competition to Call of Duty proper.
Yeah.
Because people are paying money for Call of Duty proper. They can spend money on Warzone, but they're not buying Warzone. They're buying the next Call of Duty.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, like
Most people want a simple arena
Mhm.
shooter.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the burden on the FTC to like if they do bring a lawsuit, like based on what I'm seeing and reading, from law professionals that are looking at the deal, like in terms of illegal, like the illegalness of this, like the burden of them to create a narrative that for the next 10, 15, or 20 years, that there will never be a game made at parity at Call of Duty or being successful for when Call of Duty comes out, like that, like then you're getting into crystal ball territory. And when you get into crystal ball territory, that is when it becomes more difficult to have that reasoning be a barrier for the purchase to go through. And that's what
Yeah.
Sony continues to reiterate. But I mean, Google to a lesser extent has joined Sony for their own personal reasons, but their reasoning is not related to the first person shooter space. It's mainly just been Sony that's been providing testimony and blocking
Mhm.
this deal. And it hasn't been as strong as you would want it to be to absolutely block the deal from going through. That's why I think consent decree could be a second option or
Okay,
another.
well, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna skip to the next story out of order, just to because you brought up the consent decree again. Where are they? Okay, so our next story is from VGC. This is from Tom Ivan. Microsoft said it offers Sony a 10-year deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony has actually made no comment on this. This is once again Microsoft saying this is a corporate backroom deal that we're doing, that we're putting out to foster their own deal. And why I don't think Sony will ever take a consent deal until all of this is settled is that if Sony takes a consent deal, this is Sony saying we're okay with this deal in its entirety,
Well,
which is what
but
Sony
yeah.
doesn't want.
Avery, I mean, like in terms of language, the consent decree would be made by the FTC at the ending of all deliberation. Any type of like what Xbox was offering wasn't necessarily a consent decree; it's just a deal outside of anything legally bounding, just between two corporations. A consent decree is a product after a federal entity, be it the FTC, CMA, or European Commission, comes and legally enforces it as a third party government entity that all parties would have to agree to. So like it's legally it would be illegal for Xbox to dip out of it essentially. I mean, Sony can countersue if they were to dip out of this 10-year deal, but that's not necessarily. That is a way for Microsoft to articulate parameters of what they would want, like it to go with in terms of a federally binding agreement.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
city's in the consent decree. It sucks.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, no. I get, I very much get what you're saying. But it's one of those things where like this is once again Microsoft saying openly we keep giving Sony deals to keep Call of Duty on
Exactly.
PlayStation, and Sony is either saying nothing. Well, Sony's saying nothing publicly, which is probably the best business decision, and B, it's in Sony's best interest for this deal to go back to go sour to
Yeah.
say nothing, because any acknowledgement of hey, this is a deal that we'll take is saying that we as Sony as a corporation are fine with this deal going through in its entirety.
One second. Let's go back to like the first week of January, and Jim Ryan was like kissing his daughter or his children and having dinner and just living his life, being happy. And then you get the fucking text message that Microsoft was buying. This has been his entire year.
It has
him
been.
battling.
It really
I
has
respect
been.
him. I respect him. This has been a shit year.
Oh my gosh.
It isn't. It isn't.
I mean, God of War
yeah.
Sony has had a tremendous amount of success, but a lot of his career is like.
I feel
Yeah.
more bad for Phil Spencer in that Phil has been beating the same drum about Game Pass and Xbox single party and making all these big business decisions, and we're in year 5 of Xbox games are coming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Winter is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Both
so
sides.
our next story, part of this long proceeding, is another great story from Tom Ivan. This is a weird champ story, but I get the reasoning. It's just one of those. I really wish none of this was a transparent thing that we ever heard anyone talk about. Anyways, this is Sony claims Xbox Activision deal could hurt developers and lead to price rises. This is part of another story, which by Andy Robinson, is Sony claims Microsoft's true strategy is to make PlayStation like Nintendo. These are these are two statements made by Sony in their, I guess, opposition of the deal that I get where they're coming from, but this is you're saying the quiet part loud in this matter, and I don't
But I'm like, if a regulator reads that, it's like, oh, so Sony, you just would be second place. like what like if Sony were to say, "Oh, they're trying to make us like Xbox," like fuck Xbox third place, then sure. But like, yeah, Nintendo's second place in market share right now in the video game space. So
Yes.
what regularly be looking
What
at that
exactly do they mean by
dude,
that?
you this is about the market and not just about one competitor.
They're stringing words together to try to do what they can to stop the deal. Like all this is it's such a clusterfuck in terms of all right, we got to figure out something to say to like reinforce the idea that we can't have this deal go through, and you start getting to more like weird language like this. It's just like okay, but Nintendo's also successful essentially in a lot of
I mean,
ways.
they may mean something different to them than what it means to us as a
Yeah,
It
I
means
know.
consumer.
what they're
But
saying.
wait. I just want real quick. I just want to say, like, in a lot of ways, PlayStation 3, like
Mhm.
that genre or that era was very much like PlayStation being Nintendo. Because a lot of third party games went to Xbox 360. So it was a lot of exclusive games that people went to that system for. And like PlayStation still sold well, did well. Yeah, I'm again like I'm a person who played Call of Duty. This deal would probably be bad for me. I don't know if that 10-year deal thing is like fine. It's like ah,
The,
I think
the,
you'd be fine.
Yeah, the
yeah,
question is
yeah,
left if the 10-kill deal is whether that 10-year deal would make you go to Xbox. Because that is the
right,
future that
Yeah,
Microsoft wants.
exactly.
Microsoft can't hide that.
But yeah, to DJ's point, to Jordan's point, anyone who reads that is going to say, "Oh, you mean second place?" But what PlayStation is trying to explain, I think they even explain it further on in their thing, is that they want to because this is where I think there's truth in the market. This is where I think there's truth in what they're saying. I just think it's a weird statement to make out loud. Is that Microsoft is going out of their way to buy big publishers, and this is the second big publisher they would have bought, and they've talked about openly they plan to keep doing this. So what they're essentially doing is choking out third-party games from coming to PlayStation,
Right.
which would put PlayStation in an era where they're like Nintendo, where you don't buy a Switch to play
Yeah.
Call of Duty, you buy a Switch to play Minecraft.
Like-
No, not Minecraft. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you
play
Mario,
Mario.
Nintendo
Yes,
properties.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you buy a PlayStation, you buy the God of Wars. And,
Yeah.
And that was a tremendous amount of PlayStation success in the 8th generation of PS4 and Xbox One, to which they a tremendous amount of investment in the third party market. It made sense to get a third party game via PlayStation for many reasons. Not PlayStation 4 had a better GPU, it was cheaper. They secured a lot of the contracts with third parties. Yeah, it's all about
Third party
market.
support as well as great first party shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
that also.
Yeah. But it's one of those. This is one of those statements I think is dumb. And the other statement being about is once again a true statement that Xbox, if they control 90% of the video game audiences, they would have full control of price and everything. But it's ignoring that. It's ignoring the things that Sony has done, such as
Raise
the price of their games. That being said, I had to do some research on this and just to make sure I wasn't trolling. Sony isn't the person responsible for setting the price at 70. It was a collective effort from pretty much every publisher to set it at 70. And I think Microsoft didn't do it because all of their games are built to run on all of their platforms. So it's
Except for Psychonauts, though. Psychonauts is $70. Psychonauts is $70.
Yes.
So basically, Sony took the heat for it.
Yeah. So they're selling. No, what I'm trying to clarify, because I want to make this clear. All of Microsoft, there's only one type of Microsoft game, and its version changes between the console you buy. So they can't change the price of it to all their first-party games to $70 because it would undercut the Xbox people still owning Xbox Ones. And I think Microsoft has been clear in actual recent times that at a certain point, pricing of all their content will have to change accordingly as things grow. So I get that. It's just, once again, Sony, that's once again a weird champ statement to say. It's 100% true, but like it's one of those things like you don't need to say. Okay, now we're in the sort of like Xbox era of we've heard a lot of things what Sony has said. Let's hear what Microsoft is saying about this and why I mauled it on Twitter the other day. Okay, first one is from Zach Swithen. Microsoft admits PlayStation exclusives are better quality. Once again, quiet, like you said the quiet thing out loud. I don't.
I mean, yeah. I mean, what's the I mean, well, like, cause like Force is the only thing they got, and Halo over time got worse. There hasn't been a
And
Gears and God
Gears.
knows how when.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not there currently. It's not there.
Yeah. Once again, this is me being subjective. I agree with this statement 100%. Objectively, as someone who would for a long time was trying to defend Microsoft games quality, is one of those things where like if I worked at Microsoft and like people above me were like, yeah, the games we make are worse than winning the PlayStation. I don't think that's a good statement to be out there. But
I'm pretty sure it had to be confirmed by Satya Nadella before anyone started spewing that out. It's all shit.
But it's part of Microsoft's strategy, which I think is entirely bullshit, and why we'll get to
Being disingenuous.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay, so the second story is Microsoft explains why Elder Scrolls 7 or 6, yes, will be exclusive and Call of Duty won't. This is from Sissy Jing. So Microsoft has repeatedly said this talking point of they're going to treat Call of Duty like Minecraft. That has been a talking point that everyone has just rolled with. I've always had a eyebrow up question mark on this because the only reason the Minecraft deal works the way it works is because Minecraft was on every console before the deal made through. So Xbox decided to just not cut and run when they made the deal. And Mojang as a company has only released 2 small games, multi-platform.
Yeah.
Minecraft and Minecraft Legends, I think.
Yeah, Minecraft Legends and like there's another Minecraft thing. Like there's just 2 small games which I can see I think what?
There's another one like that same style of Minecraft.
Yeah, like I said. Yeah. So like I can see the business and marketing person saying, if we just release this on Xbox, this game will fail and like it'll be not worth the doing, especially when all these games are multi-platform. So let's use that and go forward. So they've kept using this rhetoric about Minecraft and Xbox and Call of Duty. And then someone pointed out, why is games like Starfield and next Elder Scroll going to be exclusive if your game plan with Call of Duty and Activision is to not touch those exclusivity situations, and you're saying, "Oh, we're not gonna ever do X, Y, and Z." And so they gave out a chart that's a stylized representation between value of exclusivity and size of a game. And it's like a niche game like Psychonauts 2 and Fallout 76 has a small community. It will go everywhere. Mid-sized games like Starfield and Redfall are new IP with uncertain audience. We're going to keep it on Xbox.
Often single player. It's often single player too.
Yeah. Mass audience games, Call of Duty, Minecraft, we're going to go everywhere. My problem with this graph is he calls Starfield and then later in a other thing, Elder Scrolls, they put them firmly in the middle, which is why they're going to be exclusive, which is one of the most bullshit things I've ever heard in my entire life.
I'm just befuddled at the studio size. Did you know Mojang has 600 employees? Bethesda has 420.
Yeah.
Bethesda
is that just Bethesda
Softworks? Game
Studios
in Rockville.
Studios? Okay.
Yeah, Mojang has 600 plus people.
It's a huge building, so I can see how it has 400.
I don't know. I'm befuddled that Mojang has 600.
Oh, I mean, yeah. The thing is, like, it's not.
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Because it's not all devs. It's like you have support staff and stuff, and you have like HR, and then you have like cafeteria people. So like all that stuff kind of goes into that number.
Well, I mean, at least going to the chart, like for them, it's like, all right, if a single player game, Xbox has been trying. I mean, like even though they've been quote unquote trying, they still have like even before the Bethesda purchase, they had a solid number of developers to work off of, including Ninja Theory, which is still working on Hellblade 2, and all these other developers and Fable and all that. They're like, all right, we're gonna build up our single player inventory because it's not there, it's non-existent. And we bought Bethesda, which usually specializes in single player games. They tried multiplayer with Doom, didn't do so well. There's none in Wolfenstein's, and there's an expectation for the Bethesda games going forward to be sent like within the Game Pass ecosystem. Like that's what they're trying to articulate. Oh, access, all this other shit, Game Pass.
Yeah.
But I mean, so from in terms of getting the most out of Minecraft and Call of Duty, you would have to have those games on as many consoles as possible.
Yeah. I totally. Oh, I'm sorry. You?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I totally agree with this graph in terms of Bethesda being why their logic is putting Bethesda exclusive and Minecraft and Call of Duty not exclusive, because like Skyrim sold a lot, but like Skyrim
Mhm.
was also like a tent pole game in
Uh,
that like good.
That's my issue. Is that I like I said, for everything here that makes sense. The Psychonauts and Fallout 76 thing, that doesn't make any sense for me because it falls into the Minecraft thing where you bought these two studios after they had already made these games with their announcements on other consoles. So it's it's not, unless I'm not exactly sure of the business standpoint. If you could like, oh, we made deals that this game is going to be on X, but the new publisher says no, we're going to just cut those deals out. I'm not sure how that works. So I don't think they could do that. But in regards to Redfall makes sense as a new IP, uncertain audience. Both Starfield and Elder Scrolls do not make sense because Starfield is being sold on the back of Elder Scrolls and Fallout and all of those other games. They're just as big as Call of Duty and Minecraft, in my opinion, in regards to IP.
I don't I think I don't agree with that. I think in America, Starfield is big, but I don't think worldwide Starfield is big. I think Call of Duty is big worldwide. I think Minecraft is big worldwide. I think, yeah.
Well,
I just
there's not like this is not related to DJ's point. Like I'm half with DJ's point, but we're just dealing with a lot of precedent here. Like there's been moments in the long iliad of gaming history to which games that were multi-platform became one platform. And one of those games, I know Spider-Man's kind of unique, because Sony put a lot of money into that IP, both theatrically and video game space. But there was that weird time in video game history where the Spider-Mans were available on the Xbox and Nintendo and all these other consoles, and it's like that's sort of really, like us as gamers, like we kind of know like there's nuances to that, but the regulators are very like black and white. It's like, oh, so there's been times to which games or IPs that were in fact multiple platform stop being multiple platform, then we can't take this to court because there's evidence.
I don't agree with the Spider-Man point. I think it's from an IP standpoint, it's at least very clear to me that the reason that Spider-Man is exclusive on PlayStation is because the IP and the game is being made by PlayStation. If Xbox wanted to make their own Spider-Man game, all they would have to I don't think Sony owns the Spider-Man rights IP and they're the only ones who can make Spider-Man games. I think fundamentally if Xbox wanted to make a Spider-Man game, they would just have to go to Disney and convince Disney, hey, this is what we can do with a Spider-Man game that's not like what PlayStation is doing. If that makes sense.
Sony, what I'll look it up. Go ahead.
because I think Sony owns the movie rights.
Sony just owns the movie rights.
Yeah.
The video game rights are firmly in the hands of Disney, and Disney can do whatever they want. In fact, right now we're in an era where EA had the exclusive rights to Star Wars games. They no longer have that, but EA is still making Star Wars games. This is just a thing where so it's I see your point. It's a very interesting point about all of this. I fundamentally don't agree with the way Microsoft is firming their mid-side stuff, and I don't like. And I think in their conversations about exclusivity and inclusivity, it muddles their message of what they mean, what they're planning to do with the Call of Duty brand, the Call of Duty and the entire Activision Blizzard branding afterwards. If they show me this graph and all of that, but
I totally rebuke any for like in terms of like me rebuking Microsoft, and if they were to say that there's going to be at parity in terms of not like performance, but like they're going to make a case for you to play it on the Xbox ecosystem. Like they're gonna do that in some form or fashion. Like if Microsoft is
of course
going
they have
like
to.
doing this hunky dory by saying like, oh yeah, no, it's the same, and you can buy it on a PlayStation. Like, motherfucker, please. Like this is Phil Spencer. Motherfucker, please. You're gonna have some crazy like if you're a Game Pass person, you get Battle Pass for free and shit like that. Like, come on, dog.
Yeah, which is probably gonna happen with Overwatch, which I think is gonna be the most cringe thing in the world. But yeah, it's one of those things where this all ties into Microsoft's big talking point when it comes to why this deal should go through, is that we, Microsoft, are a weak and we are the underdog in this entire conversation. So let us do this because we can't compete without it. which I'd say is the most fundamental bullshit I've heard throughout these entire arguments. Sony has been talking out of their ass and saying a lot of dumb stuff, but Microsoft continually saying, we spent $70 billion on something that's not that good, is the most insane talking point I've ever heard. And
Yeah, I'm just envisioning like a little snake on a beach that's like withered and sick, but like under the waters, it has like this giant fucking leviathan with 1,000 teeth, and laser eyes.
It's just its tongue that's on there.
It's just it's really sick. We promise.
And we're forgetting a story we did before where Marvel pulled the rights from Activision and offered it to Microsoft, but it turned it down. We did a story about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, these two titans of industry are fighting openly in the streets, and both essentially both cutting themselves and saying the other guy did it. And I'm super tired of this story. I'm just going to reiterate my same talking point. I don't think this deal should go through. I don't think Microsoft as an entertainment entity, as a big corporation beyond games, should just be buying other major publishers, especially major publishers that are in the top 5 other publishers. I mean, that's a insane thing that we're just letting it happen. Like the Bethesda thing, okay, I get it. They have a monopoly on single player Western RPGs now at this point, but like I get the logic of it. But then to go on the next day and to buy Activision for like 3 to 4 times what you spent on Bethesda is an insane truth that I cannot believe we're still
litigating,
humoring.
Yeah, no, like personal biases aside, like this would be a pretty extreme precedent in the video game space, but also multimedia space. It's like, you know, if 70 billion becomes a baseline, then yes, like corporate consolidation. I've read a lot of dystopian novels. I know there's always gonna be like this big 3 corporate overlords, and yeah, no, we have. It might feel good today, but in a long enough timeline, it can come back to bite you.
No, it will, because it's one of those things where if, once again, Microsoft has said we have no plans of stopping all of this, because ultimately all they're doing is just to bolster Game Pass and make Game Pass a better and more unequivocally impossible to ignore product. And they will continue to go out and buy others, not studios, publishers, which is one of what's frustrating to me is someone who, for a while now on this podcast, was the Microsoft defender when they weren't putting out anything, and then everyone else is like, who gives a shit about Microsoft? I'm like,
they're not trying to buy the talent, they're just trying to buy the rights.
Yes, you spent so much, you have Game Pass, you have, before you bought Bethesda, you had more studios than Sony, and you had quality studios you were building up. I really wanted to see what was going to be the fruit of their labor to compete with Sony's first party, and the response was, we're just going to leverage us as a byproduct of Microsoft, the corporation, and that money to just buy more power into the space, which I don't necessarily agree with.
I mean, the thing is,
I've never thought about that Sony is buying talent. And everything that Microsoft has done, like look at Rare. They've done nothing with them.
I don't agree that Sony's buying talent.
Fine. It's money back. See if he's making his money back. As in terms of the world of games and services, it is one of the better ones.
Okay, but before Sea of Thieves, what the fuck was Rare doing?
Fucking mere 25-year anniversary, boy.
They made Pinata. What the fuck was the name of the game?
Viva Pinata.
Bring it back.
But I look at it as the whole thing of Microsoft with their exclusive lineup that's supposed to come, but it hasn't come yet. Like, it's still happening, and I think the reason why we haven't seen it is because they understand that they have to have it to a certain level of quality, and it's just not there yet. So they still have to pump in money to make sure that stuff comes. Like, the smart thing about PlayStation is that they recognize that they had to support the studios that they value important, and slowly build up those people in the studios and so on and so forth. It's just that Microsoft didn't get that same message at that time, so now they're starting to do that. But it's just you can
Yeah, like
obviously see the level of
if you look
quality.
back at the PS4, like the bang, like I mean, like they had bangers. Like going into that generation, like we didn't have the God of War until 2018. We didn't have Horizon Zero Dawn. Like it took a little bit of time
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it to be like
And
banger,
trust,
banger,
though.
banger.
And trust.
Yeah.
Because God of War 2018 and Horizon are both two games like, Kratos. Like Kratos before God of War 2018 was a very different person. Like Horizon was from the studio
New
that made
IP.
Killzone. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And
yeah,
Ghost of Tsushima was there too.
it goes. Yeah, yeah, it's another one too. Like eventually, I believe we will see games of
I
quality come
think
out from Xbox.
okay,
It's just
okay.
next year or the year after.
Okay, before we need to move on, but I just want to say one more thing because to your point about Microsoft time and talking about how the PlayStation 4 took time, they like I said, they started this journey like 3 to 4 years ago. The time that we're talking about is like it took PlayStation a year to start launching everything in this manner. So it's like it's one of those things.
Well, PlayStation came out in 2014, and it wasn't like maybe 2 or 3 years after launch that we really started getting like the heated.
I disagree. But go ahead.
I disagree.
Like,
Wait.
What came out in 2016?
Let me look it up.
Wait. No, okay,
No,
wait.
like after 2014, like the stable of PS4 generation was like 2015 and onward. Like maybe there was an Uncharted 4 that came out.
Yeah, like the studios that I'm talking about are like Sony Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch. Like those are the three studios in my mind that I think of like going from.
I think to that point, I say Infamous Second Son is a banger.
When did Bloodborne come out?
Bloodborne literally came out the next year. And I think
Bloodborne wasn't Sony exclusive. I mean, it was exclusive in terms of Sony putting money in it, but that's From Software. Software isn't owned by Sony.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the list. Okay, we've got Infamous Second Son like the year like 6 months after the PlayStation 4 launch. I think that game is a banger. I think the game is good. You got Bloodborne, and I get what you're saying.
Bloodborne is owned by Sony, ain't it? Like the IP?
Yeah, Sony owns the IP. Sony owns the IP. Uncharted Thief's End then came out in 2016. That was the next Uncharted.
Yeah.
Then from there, we got Horizon Zero Dawn a year after that. So it's like, I'm just looking for that cadence from Microsoft.
Right. It's year 2 right now after the Xbox. So
yeah.
But a dry ass year too, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I think all I'm saying is that it's very possible that we will get games of quality from Xbox. It's just taking them longer to do that.
They're a late bloomer.
Yeah, it could be just because they don't have the same talent that PlayStation has, and that's probably true because PlayStation, they put their money in it. They use their money differently than Microsoft. I just think that it could happen.
No, it's going to happen. It to Jordan's point, it's just going to take time. I'm just saying that they've had a lot of time, and I don't understand how even your studios you had before you decided to make this switch aren't making those high quality games. And my last statement is to Sean's point about PlayStation recruiting talent. I've always thought it was weird, and we sort of argued about this back in the day, that the way Microsoft made studio purchases was, what is this studio doing currently that fills a gap in our in our breach? Well, PlayStation is very much like, hey, studio, we've been working with you for a couple of years. We already have a strong relationship. Let's just put a ring on it, and so we can bring that talent in house. So it is. So you get puzzling decisions. Like I remember when Microsoft bought Double Fine, I was like, which is less of a. No, when they bought when they bought the Hellblade studio, that's the better one. When they bought that studio, I was like,
Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory. When they bought Ninja Theory, I was like, Ninja Theory's last game was a PlayStation exclusive for a long period of time. I wonder how this deal went through.
But to your point, Playground Games is fitting that
Yeah,
mold.
Playground Games pretty much to that point. Playground Games definitely fits that mold. Okay. As I knew what would happen when I brought this topic to the statement to the cast, this would be a long conversation.
Next time on
So-
Avery versus Xbox versus Sony versus
I hate this story so much. I want to go back to the days when there was like 10 publishers and everyone just made games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So-
real quick, just for the sake of things, I'm just going to do the subscriber plug now,
Yeah, that's
and
smart
then we
play.
can, yeah. All right. I just had a complete brain freeze right there. Hey, listener, how you doing? It's me again. You know, the guy that used Anton and used Stomp because it's super effective on the Pokemon. Hey, if you are enjoying our conversations and you want to do us a solid, you can by liking this video. Again, that's if you're watching on YouTube. You can like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening to our great voices, you can do us a favor and review the podcast. Leave us a good 5-star, 4-star, 6-star review, and we'd greatly appreciate it. We might even read it on the podcast. If you want to join our conversation, you can by joining our Discord at where is it at? It's at pressx2start.com/discord. It's there. Go check it out. All right. Now that we're done with that, now you know where to go to support us, to find us. Back to the podcast. Avery, what's happening?
I'm gonna try and keyword is try to be succinct about this, but you know what's gonna happen. Our next story is from George Yang. This is from IGN. Sony investing further in Chinese development program that found games like Genshin Impact. So we talked earlier about the studio. We talked about Microsoft being in another weird way of the way their ecosystem works, having missed out on an opportunity for a game like Genshin. It's been like, no, we need Chinese games. And Sony's had the Hero Project for a while, and the Hero Project has produced games like Genshin, is why that game has a strong place as an influence. And they pretty much talked about how they're going to further invest in that ecosystem to build more games. And they've talked about two actually going to be, as far as I can tell, exclusive-like games from this to bolster their catalog, called Lost Soul Aside and Convaleria, which looks a lot like Final Fantasy VIII, but at the end of the day, they're just two big action RPG games from China.
Yep. I mean, I totally concede why this is so important. Like, Genshin Impact it's a juggernaut. I feel like it's a juggernaut everywhere except for America. But then I also look at it as it's a juggernaut everywhere except for the US games industry people. Because it's just like, where it's just like they have to play the new games over and over, so they can't really spend time on games of service games.
Type in Genshin Impact into Twitter and see how many weebs show up who that's their entire personality.
Boy, their channel has like 6.07 million subscribers or something like that. Yeah, 6 point. Yeah, like it's insane. Like, Genshin Impact is insane, and like I guess this will be. You'll probably see this on the Games Awards predictions podcast that will come out before this if everything works right with my time. But I mentioned on there how I think it's like and the category was best ongoing game or whatever, and I said it's Genshin Impact hands down. Like, Genshin does so much in their like events that they do very regularly. Like, right now, there's an event where I don't know the type of game it's called, but like I think it's a MOBA where you have little people and you like command the people to do stuff while attacking like enemies and stuff. Yeah, it's like RTS kind of thing. Yeah.
Tower
So
defense? It's probably tower defense.
It's not tower defense because I don't know. It's basically a mode where you command little fungi to attack monsters and so on and so forth. And it's like someone in the studio was like, "Hey, this would be a fun thing to do," and they made it into a game. Like, they're going to, I think early next year, they're going to have a card game that you can play in Genshin Impact, and it's like the way that this game is blossoming
Evolving.
it is just so crazy to see all the things they come up with and like little games you can play in the game. So I totally get why PlayStation like, hey, look, we need another Genshin Impact because that is a huge moneymaker, and it definitely is. So I see it. I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
And Xbox needs something like this too.
It also shows that PlayStation hasn't the prevailing theory is the PlayStation has abandoned JRPGs, and the reality is they're just putting more stock into action RPGs,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because they want these games to appeal to the highest audience, And unfortunately, you put a turn-based game in the world in their face, and if it's not fucking Persona, you're not gonna find the audience, like the mass, we sell
That's
Nintendo
true.
numbers audience for these games. So yeah.
To
I mean,
your
look at
point,
Final
DJ,
Fantasy.
Microsoft is also, well, we talked about a couple weeks ago that Microsoft was also looking in China, like China's the new battleground of these games, and they're both companies trying to get developers over there to help with localization.
But that gets so weird just because of how China treats their games and like game development and so on and so forth. It's like,
Geopolitically, China's a wild card for you next 4 years, y'all. Keep your eyes on that. Hey, saying I'm trying to get to Japan within the next 2 years for obvious.
And also, since we're on the topic of Chinese, I'm not sure if this is Chinese or Korean, but I think this is Chinese. But Honor of Kings World. That's like one of the newer games that they just showed gameplay, and it looks
Honor of
like
Kings, I believe the Chinese MOBA, and the game we are talking about is a spin-off of that.
Yes. So so it's Honor King's World is the spin-off like action adventure, like has the same kind of build structure as Genshin Impact, but the graphics are more 3D realism kind of thing, and there's different weapon structure in that game. Yeah, it looks really cool. Like it definitely, if there is a console release for that, I will definitely try it and see what it's like in comparison to Genshin Impact. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
It will be on phones. Okay, so our final two stories are going to be, I'm trying to keep these quick. This one is from GamesBeat. This is from Aaron Kelly. PlayStation is cracking down on shovelware. So if you didn't hear, the trophy hunters in the world have been crying out in anger as PlayStation has finally heeded the calls of people with actual brains and decided, let's not let people put games on our platform that exists only to get a platinum trophy. Now, why I say that, this doesn't mean those games are going to disappear. It just means you can't take, say, a Mario 64 like game, take every individual star, rip that out of the game, and release that as an individual game with a platinum trophy.
Because that would take like 2 minutes to get.
That's what they've been doing. What this means is, if you repeat, what this means is those type of games will disappear. You'll still have a lot of easy platinum games, though. You won't be able to abuse the system, because PlayStation has pretty much said, hey, if you abuse our system like this, we are going to punish you, up to just preventing you from publishing games on our platform in the future going forward.
I mean, yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Like, I don't see any problem with this other than being upset.
The only devil's advocate thing I recognize to this is that this is less of an altruistic, we want to clean up our platform thing. We just created a loyalty program that awards people for getting trophies. So maybe we don't have games that just abuse our system and just devalue that loyalty program.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here's the thing:
like if they didn't have their loyalty program, they would have never done anything like this.
Without shovelware on Xbox, we wouldn't get God of Destruction.
Oh dear.
No, we wouldn't get N/BA2J 23.
Yeah.
Has the exact same image as NBA 2K23.
Oh, I saw somebody getting death threats over that.
Straight up.
Jeez.
That is like
Xbox was allowing for legit crimes.
all these platforms just need to clean up their shit.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I cannot believe we've allowed all these platforms to just become worse Steam.
Wild Wild West.
Because like at least on Steam you can buy porn, but here you can't.
Well, you know what? That comes to a point now that we become a more digital space. This might be another conversation for later, but yeah, that's like one of the vulnerabilities. Like you're not having an accredited vendor like a GameStop or a Walmart to give us our games. In the digital space, yeah, it is. There's no regulation here. Yeah, they don't even know what the fuck they want these days.
Because if you're the platform holder, all you want is people spending money, so you don't give a shit about what they're spending on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And our final story, this is from Ryan Denzel, this is from IGN. Team Ninja responds to Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden reboot reports. This is just the Team Ninja people talking about, hey, yeah, this is a thing that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? I hear Dead or Alive, and I'm like, all right, okay, you guys wasting your time. You don't bring back Dead or Alive. You really don't. What you do is you bring back Dead or Alive beach volleyball because that will get
Dead or
the
Alive
attention of
Extreme, DJ. Not that I know the
everybody.
name of it or anything.
Oh man.
Isn't it Extreme Beach Volleyball?
Yes.
What? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
See, this is the game that all the weebs are gonna want and they're gonna buy and they're gonna play. Especially
this sucks that Marcus isn't here. I have a funny story of all of us chilling in my room, hanging out, and this is when I had like 3 TVs in my room. Like I had one over there where I'm pointing, and like I had my main TV here and whatever. And so we were playing games here, and then our friend had a modded Xbox, and so we were all playing games, but like we're all playing a multiplayer game on this TV. But like the entire night, Marcus was just in that corner playing Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. Because like none of us can get mad at him because he just said, "No, it's a really good volleyball game," and it is.
Hey, here's the thing: as a person who owned Dead or Alive 3 Extreme Beach Volleyball, it is a very good volleyball game. I also learned all the words to No Doubt because you could put CDs into the game and it'll play music. It's a good time. It's a good time. Yeah, you got all the boob physics and the fact that the girls aren't wearing much.
Oh, trust me, that
Skip
is
all that.
the version you showed is the tamest version of that franchise going forward because they understood what their demographic was and
the male gaze.
This is not a swimsuit, but it covers the genitalia enough that we can call it a swimsuit and put it in this game.
Our developers spent 10 days trimming down as much fabric as possible to make sure this game was not AO.
But yeah, I'm a Ninja Gaiden fan. I really love the first Ninja Gaiden. It's one like in a Avery Williams loves Devil May Cry games. That was the game where like, okay, I want to just punch my teeth with like a fucking brick playing this game, but it's just so fun. So I'm excited for more of that to come back in less, especially in a Souls era, which they kind of did with the Neo game. Especially in Souls era and people wanting that difficulty. I'm happy for Ninja Gaiden to be back. Dead or Alive.
That makes a lot of sense now.
I generally like the Dead or Alive fighting games. Like I was a big fan of the Dead or Alive 3. I just want them to try and compete with the Tekkens and the Street Fighters of the world and not try and make a free-to-play mobile-esque game that they just try to sell people as a games as a service is what happened to Dead or Alive.
Yeah. I enjoy my time with Dead or Alive. I think I'm in agreement with you, Avery. Like they need to make this a legitimate fighter and not try that free-to-play stuff. I mean, even if they do the free-to-play thing, I think no. Make this a $70 like premium AAA fighter and take that route.
Like the Dead or Alive games are the best looking games because of their idea of because of their adherence to fan service. They are the best looking fighting games, period. And I just want to see that level of fidelity in an actual competent fighting game that I don't have to spend money on a regular basis to actually enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, like really and truly, I want to say they were probably the first to do like really destructible stages where like it's different tiers. Like you knock the person out of the wall, they explode off the wall and they roll down some stairs into another round. Like it was dope. Like it was a really, really cool fighter. But it is one of those things where people like only the people who played it really respected for the fighting, but everyone else saw it for the booby physics. And it's just like, all right, there's a bit more
There's
to
some
that
of us in the middle.
Yeah,
exactly. It got to a point where they were taking the female leads from other fighting games that no one played and just putting them in Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
Just because they could exploit the look at these characters, how they look in our engine.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that has been it for the gaming news. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. Don't forget to like this video if you are watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Don't forget, if you are listening to us, please leave us a review. We would greatly appreciate that. Don't forget, if you missed any of our information, any of us that you just want to know who we are, how to get in contact with us. You can find all the information and more on pressx2start.com. There's no slashes. It's just that. It's just that raw URL. Just click it. Click the raw URL.
Whoa.
Do it. Yeah, other than that, it's the same old. You be safe, you keep playing games, you keep having fun, you keep having a great day/night/evening wherever you are in this world. All right, peace out, y'all. Antoine, you stomp.
Oh gosh.